Good morning and welcome to NewsWare's Trade Talk for Wednesday, March 18th. Okay, let's get into the action. Take a look at the S&Ps, which are trading higher. We're up about 0.3%, which is positive. We were up about 0.5%, so it's really active this morning. We got some weakening oil prices, which is easing some inflation concerns. We got tech trading higher, which is all positive. You got some action from the U.S. government. So these things are, all coalescing to kind of create some positive action today. I mean, the markets, one of the key aspects for the market today is really this FOMC meeting. Traders are going to be paying attention to Jerome Powell's press conference, which they always do, because he always puts out a nugget or two that's really insightful. But really, I want to see that dot plot. That dot plot is going to be a key indicator on the future path of interest rates. The fact is that, the last dot plot that came out was in December, and they were saying, possibly 2 rate cuts in 2026. They're going to dial it back. They're going to dial it back to 1, maybe none. They could even institute something like a possibility for a rate hike, because higher oil prices, increases inflation. And inflation is one of the key things that they want to, keep from moving higher. It's already a little too high, and they want to push it down. And the one way to do that is to raise interest rates. So we got to be real careful with this press conference and the dot plot projections, because that's going to be the real key catalyst for the market's move at the close. The White House made another offer to the Democrats to try and end that partial government shutdown. If it's resolved, it could reduce economic uncertainty. That would be a positive. On the corporate front, you got Microsoft. They're considering legal action against OpenAI and Amazon. Chinese authorities are positive on these H200 chips from NVIDIA. That's a good story. And let's talk about the Strait of Hormuz. I mean, this is kind of interesting. The fact of the matter is that that coalition that Trump was trying to build, well, it's not happening. But the U.S. did hit some missiles along the Strait of Hormuz on the shore overnight, missile targets. That's kind of softening the sentiment, softening the situation to where you can put naval vessels to escort cargo ships. But those first cargo ships that come through are really going to be they're going to be under attack, it. So we got to be cautious on it. But it looks like they are moving forward. One of the things I found funny was, the France said they're willing to, be part of the naval armada as soon as hostility ends. Well, we don't need you then. I mean, thanks for coming to the party a day late. On earnings front, we get some positive earnings from DocuSign, Macy's, Sale. They're all trading higher after earnings report. And Lululemon, LULU, is trading lower. After the bell today, Micron's the big one that's in focus, ticker MU. We also got earnings coming out this afternoon from Five Below and DeLeo. Those are 2 other ones to keep an eye on. Okay, let's take a look at the global markets this morning and take a look at Germany first off. I mean, Germany's up 126 points. It's a little more than 0.5%. I mean, the key thing is we're seeing some gains in industrial, bankings, and tech stocks. London, the FTSE's up 0.26%. We got strength in travel and financial shares. That's offsetting the weakness that we're seeing in the energy stocks. And in CAC, the Paris is up 0.91%, driven by positive momentum in luxury and financial stocks. Then you look over at Asia last night. Asia was green across the board. I mean, the Nikkei gained 2.87%. That's 1,539 points, with strong gains in tech and AI-related stocks. Then you get the Hang Seng, which finished up 156 points, or 0.61%. And they saw broad-based strength across most of the sectors. China finished higher by 0.32%, supported by continued positive momentum in tech and AI shares. Then we're looking at oil. Now, oil is kind of mixed this morning. We got WTI trading at $95.11. It's ebbing higher, but it's still down about $1.10 from yesterday's close. Brent, on the other hand, is trading 104.31. That's up 0.86%. The key to oil overnight, why prices seem to weaken, was that Iraq cut a deal with Iran to restart oil flows through a Turkish pipeline. Now, it's one pipeline is not enough to really ebb the fears that we have about oil prices, but it's a start. And it kind of shows an indication of Iran's willingness to continue to allow oil to flow. Remember, the other day we talked about certain countries doing deals with Iran to allow their ships to traverse the Strait of Hormuz. They're doing it right by the coastline, so they're easy targets. But they have this deal, and you can see them clearly, and they're letting them pass. So Iran's willing to let oil flow, just not through countries that are aligned up against them. Then we have the API data that came out last night. These are the estimates. Later today we get the official data, but the estimates show a 6.6 million barrel build in inventory estimates. That's not good for oil prices. I mean, when you have a build, I mean that's adding more inventory. But right now we'll kind of wait for the official numbers to come out. In terms of earnings, we've got a lot of good earnings that came out this morning and last night. One of the highlights, I think, is Macy's, which is trading higher. It's up over 8% this morning. They beat by 11 cents, and they did it on higher revenue. Then you got General Mills, ticker GIS. They're trading lower by about 1%. They missed by 9 cents on lower revenue. And then, of course, the one that people were most focused on was Lululemon, which is off 1.68% this morning. They did deliver a beat of 24 cents on higher revenue, but their guidance was not stellar. It wasn't great. Upcoming after the bell today, we got Micron. Micron's the big one that everyone's going to be paying attention to. They're going to be releasing after the bell. Their EPS is $8.89, and the expected move is 9.95%. That's going to be the key one to watch. Now we're talking about Fed announcements economic announcements happening today. I mean, listen, at 10 a.m., we get the Atlanta Fed business inflation expectations. At 10:30, we get this EIA oil stockpiles report. But at 2 p.m., you get the FOMC monetary policy announcement along with the dot plot. At 2:30, starts the Fed chair's press conference. These are the key ones. Listen, Governor Moran is definitely likely to continue his dovish tilt. In terms of Waller, who's also kind of been a dove, remember, he's no longer in the camp for Fed chair. So I wouldn't be surprised if, he is, not as dovish as people might make him out to be. And so I only see Governor Moran as being the one that's going to be dovish because that's his tilt, and I don't expect that to change. The other Fed officials are really going to be saying, hey, we got to worry about inflation with these rising oil prices, and at this point in time, it's not appropriate to lower interest rates. In fact, they may be considering raising them. That's what the dot plot will kind of give us an indication of. In terms of a change, they're not going to be making any change. I mean, the market's pretty much told you that there's not going to be, that they're not anticipating any change in interest rates at the announcement this afternoon. Okay, let's move on to, the markets and take a look at some of the news that's in the tape. Starting off with the FANG stocks, we're looking at Apple. We're talking to the CEO of Tim Cook. He's in China attempting to lower the pressure surrounding the App Store issues. Remember, China's not thrilled with their VIG of 30% that they take on all App Store sales. So, yeah, Tim Cook's trying to make some friends over there. Amazon, they're planning sharp cuts in packages shipped through USPS, United Postal Services. Seems like I've heard this over and over again that they're going to be doing dramatic cutbacks in them. So, but that they can't cease it all because there are certain places where they really need them. Google, they're said to be in discussions with Evercool to buy cooling equipment. Seems like Meta's failed to stop illegal ads for financial products on its platform. They're getting some heat about that. In terms of Dow Jones 30 stocks, we've got to start off with NVIDIA because Chinese authorities have approved NVIDIA's H200 AI chip for sales in China. That's a big uptick for that stock. Microsoft talking about legal action against Amazon and OpenAI due to remember, they have an exclusive deal with OpenAI, and OpenAI is kind of violating it with their deal with Amazon. So Microsoft's well within their rights to pull them back, to rein them back in. OpenAI is a bit of a wild card in the way they do their business structure. They take your money and then they do whatever they want. And, we'll have to see how this shakes out. This is positive for Microsoft, not good for OpenAI, that's for sure. Coca-Cola, NBA and Coca-Cola announced a multi-year global partnership. That's positive. In terms of guidance, we've got to start off with Macy's. Macy's sees full year 2026 EPS $1.90 to $2.10. Street estimate has a $2.14. That's a downtick. Lululemon, positive earnings, but they see Q1 coming in at $1.63 to $1.68, where the street estimate was $2.07. That's a double downtick. Here's one, Bob's, B-O-B-S. Bob's Discount Furniture. They see full year 2026 revenue coming in $2.6 billion to $2.625, where the street estimate has it at $2.62. This is one to watch. Bob's, B-O-B-S. Guidance was good. In terms of shareholders meetings, we've got to talk about Disney, Walt Disney, ticker DIS, David India Sam. They're holding a shareholders meeting today. It starts at 1 p.m. Eastern. In terms of buybacks, DocuSign, DOCU, they announced a $2 billion increase to their share repurchasing program. Catalyst calls, Citibank's out there on Copa, the Brazilian Airlines, CPA, Charlie Paul Apple. They gave it a 90-day catalyst watch and said that the stock is well positioned for to handle the hikes in fuel prices, but they lowered the price target. I don't really like that. So, but that's what I have for you about news in the tape this morning. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about our stock of the day. I got to go with Darden's Restaurants, ticker DRI, David Richard India. Yesterday, earnings are due out tomorrow morning. EPS is $2.95, and the expected move is 6.41%. Yesterday's call volume, 1,356 versus put volume of 373. Wow, that's big. That's a put call ratio is like 0.28 there. Open interest is more even, 9,831 to 9,242. So that's left. But that call volume yesterday, very positive walking into earnings tomorrow morning. So I've got to keep an eye on that call put volume during the day today. Major brokers, they do like the stock. They still like the stock, and they're raising price targets on it. That's nice to see. For me, to get in, my entry point, 203.80. That's what I'm looking at. Spread's really wide this morning, but I'm going to say 203.80. We'll have to wait and see how that stock opens. Okay, let's take a look at the stock that's hitting the tape this morning. See if there's anything big in the last 15 minutes or so. Johnson & Johnson, they announced the FDA approval for one of their drugs. It's positive. BZ, their board increased their share repurchasing authorization to $400 million. Boy Zebra. Trump's out there suggesting other countries could be responsible for the Strait of Hormuz in the future. SoFi hit by a short seller attack. The Muddy Waters hit it yesterday. Obviously, the company is saying that they're wrong, and all their financials are great. That's the typical response. Let's see if I got anything else here. The bar for future Fed rate cuts is quite elevated, I'll say. Amazon sees AI doubling its prior AWS sales projections to $600 billion by 2036. Boeing, the airplane maker, is expected to bet its commercial airplane division to turn a profit in 2027. Airlines are seeing a stronger than expected spring travel demand. All right, that's all I'm seeing. Okay, let's move on. Let's talk about yesterday's stock of the day, which was ticker OKLO, Oscar Kilo Larry Oscar. Listen, it worked out based on my entry price. I mean, the stock opened up really high, and I was cautious on it because it was opening up high, but it wound up opening up at $64.97. And I was thinking about a $59.60 entry price, but then the stock fell. Actually fell down to $59.24, and then it rebounded and closed at $60.53. So your 1% was there off my entry price. And this morning I saw it already hit $61.67, so it's still volatile, but it definitely did make it off of the entry price that I threw out there. So that's got to be considered a win. All right, traders, that concludes today's podcast from NewsWare's Trade Talk. You guys know what to do. Let's go out there and let's make some green today.